The real cost of being British. What does it truly cost to live in Britain? Beyond the iconic red buses and afternoon teas, the financial realities of life in the UK have become increasingly complex. From housing to healthcare, the expenses associated with daily living have surged, prompting many to reassess their budgets and lifestyles. Whether you're a lifelong resident or considering a move, understanding the real cost of being British is more crucial than ever. As inflation, public service strain, and global uncertainty affect everyday costs, this deep dive reveals what it really takes to live, work, and thrive in modern Britain. Housing. Climbing the property ladder. The UK housing market continues to be one of the most punishing aspects of modern life. As of 2025, average home prices in England are above £285,000, with London pushing well beyond £550,000. That's more than 10 times the average salary in some regions, making home ownership a dream slipping further out of reach for younger generations. Renting isn't much better. With demand outstripping supply, rent prices have soared. In major cities, tenants often spend over 1/3 of their income on rent. Even in smaller towns, the average rent for a two-bedroom flat often exceeds £900 a month. While government schemes like Help to Buy once aimed to ease the burden, most have expired or offer limited help. Rising mortgage rates, especially after inflation-fighting interest hikes, mean many homeowners are now paying hundreds more per month. The real cost of being British begins with simply trying to find a place to live. Utilities. Managing energy expenses. Utility costs have become a financial drain for millions. The average household energy bill in Britain was capped at £1,690 in early 2025, thanks to government price caps. But that's still over 40% higher than pre-2021 levels. Gas and electricity bills continue to spike during winter, forcing families to choose between heating and other essentials. Water rates, broadband charges, and council tax further add to the pile, with many now paying over £300 a month just to keep a house running. Even with improved insulation and smart meters, many households can't escape the high base costs. For pensioners and low-income families, energy poverty is a serious issue. Some local councils offer relief programs, but they're often underfunded or difficult to access. Food. Navigating rising grocery bills. Food prices in the UK have surged beyond expectations. As of May 2025, grocery inflation climbed to 4.1%, the highest in a year. Staples like milk, eggs, bread, and meat are now noticeably more expensive, stretching weekly food budgets. For a family of four, the average monthly grocery bill can top £600, a staggering figure compared to previous years. Shoppers are switching to discount chains, relying on loyalty cards, or cutting back on fresh produce. Food banks, once a safety net for emergencies, have now become regular sources of support for many. According to the Trussell Trust, over 3 million emergency food parcels were distributed in 2024 alone. It's a grim indicator of how many are struggling with the most basic need, eating. Transportation, balancing cost and convenience. Transport in Britain isn't just expensive, it's often unreliable. Train fares have seen steady hikes, with an annual season ticket between some commuter towns and London costing over £5,000. Even bus services in rural areas are being cut, leaving communities stranded. Fuel prices remain volatile, with unleaded petrol hovering around £1.60 per litre. Electric vehicles, while trendy, come with high upfront costs and sparse public charging infrastructure in many areas. Transport for London froze some fares until 2026, and national schemes capped some bus fares at £2. But for many working Britons, commuting is still a major monthly expense. Whether by car, train or bus, getting from A to B takes a serious chunk out of paychecks. Childcare. addressing one of the highest global costs. Childcare in Britain is among the most expensive in the world. Parents pay an average of £1,200 a month for full-time nursery care for children under 3. Even part-time care can cost £600 to £800 a month, depending on location. The government's free hours scheme offers some relief, up to 30 hours a week for 3 and 4-year-olds. However, there are caveats. Not all providers accept the funding, and additional charges for meals and activities still apply. For working families, especially mothers, this cost often determines whether going back to work is financially viable. Many parents adjust career plans or rely heavily on grandparents to manage. In terms of living in Britain, few costs feel more restrictive than childcare. Leisure and entertainment, the price of relaxation. Once affordable pleasures like cinema nights or fish and chips at the seaside now feel like luxuries. A cinema ticket in London can easily hit £15, and a pub dinner for two often exceeds £40 without drinks. The cost of a pint has hit record highs, averaging £5.17 nationwide and nearly £7 in central London. Holiday prices, domestic or abroad, have also risen. And many previously free attractions, like local museums, now ask for suggested donations or entry fees. Inflation has hit entertainment hard. Households are cutting subscriptions, skipping takeaways, and trading nights out for streaming in an effort to stay afloat. While leisure might seem non-essential, it's part of mental well-being, and now increasingly out of reach. Taxation. Understanding the financial obligations. Britain's tax system, though essential for funding public services like the NHS, education, and social care, can be a significant drain on take-home income. Most workers pay 20% income tax, with higher earners taxed at 40% or more. Then there's national insurance, an additional deduction that funds pensions and welfare programs. For someone earning a modest wage, these two deductions combined can instantly shave a substantial portion off their monthly paycheck. But the tax burden doesn't stop there. There's council tax, which can range from £1,200 to over £3,000 per year, depending on the property's location and valuation band. Some areas have recently raised council tax to cover local funding shortfalls, adding even more pressure on working families. Then comes value-added tax, VAT, a flat 20% on most goods and services, from haircuts to furniture. There are also indirect taxes, duty on petrol, alcohol, cigarettes, flight tickets, and vehicle excise duty. For those with dependents or additional responsibilities, the lack of tailored tax relief often makes budgeting even harder. For middle-income earners, it can feel like a lose-lose situation, earning just enough to be taxed heavily, but not enough to afford a comfortable lifestyle. And for the self-employed, navigating Britain's complex tax code, filing requirements, and ever-changing thresholds can feel like a full-time job. At the heart of living in Britain, taxation is a balancing act between collective responsibility and personal financial limits. Savings, the challenge of financial planning. For millions, saving in Britain has become less of a financial habit and more of a luxury. In an ideal world, everyone would set aside a portion of their income each month for emergencies, holidays, retirement, or buying a home. But in today's reality, most Britons find themselves living paycheck to paycheck with little or nothing left to save. According to national surveys, 1 in 5 people under the age of 35 have less than £100 in personal savings. Even among higher age brackets, rising costs have eaten into what used to be dependable financial cushions. As inflation erodes purchasing power, even those with savings find their funds don't stretch as far. Pensions are another concern. Many workers, especially freelancers and part-time employees, aren't enrolled in employer schemes. State pensions offer some support, but they're often insufficient to cover even the basics of retirement. Meanwhile, home ownership, a traditional form of long-term saving, feels unreachable for a generation facing high rents and stagnant wages. While some banks offer savings accounts with rates as high as 7.5%, these often come with strings attached, limited deposits, short terms, or monthly caps. Plus, the cost of living crisis means people simply don't have the spare cash to lock away. Even budgeting tools, financial apps, and personal finance influencers can't fix the core issue. There's just not enough left after essentials are paid. And that's where the real cost of being British reveals itself again, when the future feels like something only the wealthy can plan for. The real cost of being British in 2025 goes far beyond bills and budgets. It's about compromises, pressures, and navigating a system that feels increasingly stacked against the average person. And yet, amid the hardship, Britons remain resilient, adapting, surviving, and finding ways to endure in a rapidly changing world. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.